studio smelled the butter and the sugar and the sweetness of the fruit. He came out to the kitchen to see what I'd made. He looked at me and grinned, just as pleased as Punch. "See," he said, "don't I always tell you? You were made for this." The pie was good. We ate it still warm with mugs of coffee as we sat out in the garden under the early afternoon sun. The baby tasted a spoonful of the innards and dribbled it all out again, like a miniature office worker who'd just chewed his blue pen. Sam laughed and scooped it back up into the spoon. "Isn't this kid the best?" he said. He lifted him and jiggled him about, so the baby laughed and squealed and spit up some more. I observed them together. The boys. My boys. Father and son. I smiled and felt the warmth of the sun against my skin. Down the dirt road that connects the houses on the reserve, one of the neighbors has a paddock full of prize-winning horses nursing their young. The spring foals wobble about on spindly, unsteady legs. The mares nudge them up with their muzzles, coaxing their offspring gently into the world. They are good at mothering, patient and instinctive, fierce with love for their young, as nature demands. Sam and I walked the baby over to watch them in the field. "Horse," Sam said, and he pointed and neighed, and the baby was in hysterics. I reached out a hand to a chestnut-brown mare who had approached the fence, felt the quiver of life and taut muscle under my fingers. She was beautiful, strong and certain. Her black eyes were fierce. "Careful," Sam warned. "New mothers can be dangerous." We left the horses and made our way slowly back to the house, our home for a little under a year. It's around 45 minutes outside of Stockholm, on a nature reserve bordering Sigtuna, the oldest town in Sweden. The reserve covers a fairly large stretch of land, mostly fields and forest nestled around the lake, with the odd house dotted in between the pines. Many of the homes have been in a single family for generations, the same red wooden cabin extended or repaired over the years as necessary. The walls within witness to the constant comings and goings of the newly born and the newly departed. Sam inherited the house from his grandfather's second wife, Ida, who was born and raised here. She had no children of her own, but always had a soft spot for Sam, who knew even as a child how to charm her, how to compliment her on her rose garden, or her spiced cookies, or the gentle Swedish accent that made all her words sound like songs. When she died some years ago, Sam discovered she'd left him the house, with the stipulation that it could never be sold, only passed down. We'd never visited before last year, never even thought much about the house or the country. Actually, our sole point of reference for all of Sweden was one of those little red Dala horses Ida brought back for us after one of her visits. It sat atop the spice rack in our Brooklyn apartment, next to the pepper grinder and the unopened jar of saffron strands I'd bargained for at a night market in Marrakesh. Of course, moving here was Sam's idea. All the good ones are, he likes to joke. He said it would be like a fairy tale, that we'd be happier than we've ever been. He was right. He always is, pointing us in the right direction, the compass that leads me away from the storms. How lucky I am to have him. Later in the afternoon, the three of us took a long walk through the forest, the baby in the backpack carrier hitched snugly to Sam. As we walked, we named the trees and birds we've learned to identify this past year. A spruce, a nest of finches, Fraxinus excelsior, a common ash. These are our newfound pleasures and hobbies, the things we busy ourselves with over here. We laugh at ourselves sometimes, imagining the people we once were. In the little town of Sigtuna, we stopped for thick rye-crumbed herrings and potato salad at the cafe by the pier.